All right. Screen's good? You can see it? Okay, awesome. Joy will give you the honors of welcoming everyone today because you're such a great welcomer. And then Jennifer can start recording as you welcome. Or if Joy can't speak because she's still figuring out her tech issues, maybe we shouldn't throw that at her right now, huh? All right, I'll go ahead and welcome, I guess. I can't see Joy at this point. Did she disappear? I don't see her in here anymore. I think she's dealing with tech issues. You think, Jen?
Yeah, I don't see her either, but I think we're good to go ahead.
Okay. All right. Then we shall forge ahead. We ready to record, Jen? We're good? Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our final, but not final, cheerleader meeting for the school year. It's already May. Oh my God. We've got just a quick check-in with you, see how everyone's feeling, because if we didn't mention it's May. We'll talk about invoicing, the big thing that's on everyone's mind. Give me the money, right? And then we'll look forward to next year, reflect a little bit on this past year, and talk about how we can support you with going forward. And then close out on some positive notes to forge through the last month of May and into June. Although, is there really ever a downtime anymore? Like people used to say, when's your downtime? I don't know. I don't think there is a downtime anymore. So I'm Ashley. If you haven't seen me a million times before, the social studies program specialist. Jennifer's here. Where's Jennifer?
I'm here. I'm Jennifer Zumberis. I'm the social studies and special education content integration specialist.
And then I was going to buy some time for Joy to get back in, but it looks like she is still
I think she said she's rebooting. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, she'll pop back in a second, and we'll turn it over to Jen.
All right, this is one of our favorite icebreakers to use with students and with teachers. So it may be something you want to try with your RESA, but you just choose 4 images, whichever relates. We've done seasonal images like with fall and pumpkins and that kind of stuff, but we thought these were appropriate for the end of the school year. So number 1, you look at the 4 images. Number 2, you decide which image you relate to the most at this present moment. And then number 3, you share out your why you chose that image. So take just a second, decide which one you are, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. You can type it in the chat or you can unmute, whichever works best for you, and share out your why that you chose that image. I see June says 2 because her allergies are killing her. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. Lisa says 2, it's a busy time of year for her job and in real life. Absolutely. Cassie says 2. Cassie, I don't know how you're doing it now. She's ELA and social studies and in the midst of all kind of training and rollout for ELA. Yes, absolutely. I see another 2 ELA specialist as well. New standards, we're dying. Another 2, prepping for all the 24-25 menus. Yes, absolutely. Robin, I see you say a 3. Why are you a 3, Robin? A number 1, taking on the new role, learning as a new role. I feel wobbly, and I also relate to number 1 because sometimes I feel like we're faking it till we make it. You know, we're trying to be the flamingo, but we're really a rooster. It's just like, come on, you can do it. So I can relate to that one as well. Robin signed her final contract. That's crazy. Sherry says she's in another meeting, but she's here. I think we're all kind of multitasking at this time of the year. Absolutely. So one of the things that we love about this icebreaker is it's fast, and it's also there's no wrong answer. So whatever the students choose, they're correct. So that's always exciting. It's kind of a no pressure thing to do, and it also lets them get that practice kind of proving their answer and backing it up with evidence. So great job. Thank you, everyone. All right. Joy,
Okay.
thank goodness you got here. You were
I
making me
know.
sweat a little bit. I thought we're gonna have to really drag these pictures out for a while if you don't make
Well,
it.
my my computer said it does not. It said, "I'm sorry, I cannot find a speaker." I was like, "Oh my!" Well, so I'm actually connected on my phone headset, but my hair was not prepared for today because I anticipated wearing big headphones, so I'm just wearing the little ones underneath the big ones, so that it's fine. It's all fine. It's all fine here.
So you're a number one, Joy,
Yeah,
then.
you're the
I
roaster making it too.
For your hair is number one today. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I need you to be a number three for the invoicing. Okay. So different parts of your bodies can be different things. Okay. So why we're all here, right? The money.
Can you back up one slide?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so special thanks here, Miss Connie and June. Here is your diploma seals. They're getting in the mail today. Thank you again for being the organizer for the districts in your RISA. And Lawrence High School teacher yesterday, no, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. Tuesday, right? Was recognized as Economics Teacher of the Year at is it Lawrence County High School? Yeah, so snaps. I'm doing great things down there, Heart of Georgia. Okay, thank you.
She did a beautiful job.
Okay, money. Woo! There is one bullet that I didn't put on there. Ashley, can you pop it at the bottom once I say it? So when we send it out, it'll be there. First, I want you to make sure you review your RISA contract for the correct amounts. Now, remember this year, the contract totals, the amount totals are for both science and social studies. So there's one contract for both. We had a question yesterday. I don't know, they're blurring together. About what if we have money left over and I spent a little bit more money for social studies than I did for science, and is it a dead even split? And so I talked to Keith Crandall, who's a science coordinator. So if this is you and you had this issue, here is what we have determined. If you had more expenses for this year's conference for science or social studies, so it was October of 2023 for social studies and March of 2024 for science, and you didn't use, let's say you had more money that you spent for GCSS and you didn't spend all your science money in the contract, because the contract doesn't say it's an even split between the two. You could use some of the extra money that you had to cover those expenses. Does that make sense? Legal did tell us for the last contract that money could be shifted from, let's say you didn't have as many people go to the contract and you wanted to add a liaison, or you didn't have all of your liaisons, so you wanted to send more people to the conference. Legal did tell us that we could shift back and forth. And so since science and social studies are both in the same contract and it doesn't indicate an even split, we feel like if that is something that you need to do, then that is okay. You might want to reach out to Keith and I just to, tell us what you're going to do so that we can make sure. But review that contract. Remember that it includes both science and social studies. And look at my eyeballs. Don't forget, it includes a 3% amount for contract administration. So when you're invoicing, you invoice for, many of you have already invoiced for the conference expenses, and so now you're just following up with the funding for your RISA leader and your liaisons, but your contract also includes a little bit of money to the RISA for administrating the contract. So if you need to know the complete breakdown, let me know. I don't want you not to invoice for that 3%. And everybody's 3% is different because everybody's contract amount is different. So if you don't have that number, some people have asked and we've sent the breakdown. If you don't have that and you need that, just let us know, either Keith and I, and we'll send it to you. I want to make sure that you get RISA gets money for the work that it's doing already. Just as a reminder, the total amount for each liaison is $1,500 for the year. Some REISs did a invoice at the midway point for $750, and so you'd still just have $750 remaining. Some REISs are waiting till the end, but the total amount for each liaison is $1,500, and the total amount for the one REIS leader is $1,500 as well. You can send the invoices because Keith was the main person on the contract. He's submitting the invoices. But make sure to CC me so that I can review my part, because Sheila makes us both sign it. So I'd like to look at it beforehand. Once you submit your invoice, payment goes out between 4 to 6 weeks after that. And we are coming to the end of the fiscal year. And they start closing stuff down in June 1 to prepare for the system to be shut down in July. I want you to get your funds so that you can pay your people. So you should be thinking about going ahead and submitting your invoices very soon now, so that you have enough time to get for REISA to get the money in order to pay your liaisons. And then please, once you submit that invoice and I say, yay, I got it, please monitor to make sure that you receive that payment. I know a couple of REISs had some changes in personnel, and we had to jump through some hoops to make sure they got their payments from last year. So just make sure that when you receive the payment, maybe you just let Keith or I know so that we can sleep better at night. But the piece that I wanted you to add, Ashley, was that 3%. I want to make sure that all the REISs are invoicing for that 3%. Any questions about that? Terribly confusing, actually, piece of information. Cool. Oh yeah, that's what second slide there. Before your liaisons, before you pay them, we wanted to make sure we were all on the same page on what we expected. I know for a couple of REISs, this is your first go around with us. So we expected that liaisons would work to support the teachers in their district for 10 months. Sending emails and meeting with you guys. So when you can go ahead and invoice now, but if you're wondering when should I pay them, we expect them to have completed 10 months of work and filled out that supporting social studies form that Ashley created? Question mark? Yeah.
Well, and we'll talk about the form and the traffic light Padlet. We're actually going to model those today, so you'll know what those are in just a second. Cassie also had a question, Joy, in the chat. What do we do if we're going to have a little money left over?
Email, we're recorded. Email me. Everybody's situation's a little bit different. So I don't want to just say words, Cassie. So y'all email me if you're going to have a little money left over, and we'll figure out what the legally appropriate thing to do is. I'm going to stop talking now.
It sounded very legit and appropriate. Good job, Joy. Okay. All right. Any other invoicing questions? Like if you have obviously specific REISA level questions, it's obviously best just to email, but any kind of generic questions? Are we good with the invoicing?
Yeah. And you said you're going to show them the form later.
Yes, I'm going to show, we're actually going to experience the Padlet and the form. Okay. Alrighty, we'll keep on rolling. Jennifer. No, this is still Nancy. I mean, who? Nancy isn't here. What day is it?
Your coffee, you're a rooster too, Ashley. You're a rooster too.
I am so roostering right now. Joy, this is you.
Okay. Well, we're looking ahead to maintaining the program next year in 24 and 25. And as some of you have already heard, we do not have funding. Well, I mean, ESSER funds expire in, I think the end of, technically every penny has to be out of our DOE's bank account September 30th. So they've already stopped our ability to contract. We have no monies left, but that doesn't mean that we are not going to still continue the program and offer the support that this program has provided to all the RESAs and districts in the state of Georgia. Yeah.
Continuing.
No. Tag.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to think about and brainstorm right now in our roundtable what we can do to continue the support, because we're not going away, right? We're still here to support you.
And keep in mind that we do have some lingering benefits from ESSER funds. For instance, Nancy is our ESOL specialist. She was ESSER funded, but the superintendent found a way to keep, well, and the science ESOL person as well was ESSER funded. So those personnel, the superintendent and Matt Jones and April, have found a way to keep on our staff to maintain that support, that level of support for the state. I don't know, we're still going to be able to do professional learning. And I think I got to almost every RESA this year, or someone from my team has gotten to almost every RESA this year. And so we're going to be able to continue to do that, though I don't have an idea of our state budget for next year in terms of travel. And I have been told that because we're keeping all of the personnel that were ESSER funded, they said to expect, not to expect. They said to really think about maximizing your support. So we are going to continue to work through RESAs. You guys are going to be our most important ally here as we have potentially much less budget. We will rely more heavily on RESAs to do trainings as opposed to being able to go to individual districts. I'm not saying that we won't be able to go to individual districts, but my first go-to, if a district says, can you have a training for us, is can you host it at the RESA so we can invite more people? So I hope that we can continue that partnership because we certainly rely on you heavily. So we're keeping our ESSER funded people. We are still doing travel, though probably not as much as we have in the past. But we're not even sure we're going to be able to keep virtual specialists, which has been something that we've had since 2016 prior to ESSER funding. So, but more to come. They're working on finding money, and if you know me, you know that I will find it somewhere in literacy or math or something. STEM, STEAM, CTAE, we'll make new friends to get some money.
And as Shay also said in the chat, we've always got the online and virtual PL to support people, which in some ways teachers like better, and especially for our districts where they have to drive farther, that tends to be a better option to reach them. Amanda also had a question about district participation. Will that be voluntary next year?
And I think that's what the roundtable's about. How can we, so I was approached the other day by a friend who said they were trying to get a job in leadership, but they needed a leadership certificate. I promise this is related. But they couldn't get into a leadership program at the college because the college didn't consider their current role a leadership role. I would consider being a district liaison in this state driven program a leadership role. So though there's no money, I know that's not really what anybody wants to hear, but though there's no money, there are some benefits to participating at the district level. We may be able to leverage our partnerships with other organizations like GCEE, GCSS, and GCCE to try to get some perks. Like the very first year, we offered the TED Masterclass, though it didn't seem anybody was terribly interested in that. But we can try to leverage those relationships to have some kind of added benefit. We could try to well, I mean, several of our district level cheerleaders are also on our advisory committee as well. So, and then when we do have contracting dollars, we have gone to some of these district liaisons for that. I don't know. No, there's no money from the state to give to the RISA for the district level people to participate. So maybe we can, what do you think would be worth it for teachers to want to voluntarily do? I mean, obviously it wouldn't be the same amount of work as, I mean, $1,500 wasn't really a terrible amount of money, but what do you think would make it worth it for teachers to sit on this, be part of this program without being paid? What can we offer? What would they want that would make it worth it? Where's the value?
And maybe adding on to that, like what are some initiatives that might be going on in the districts that could piggyback? Like some districts do like a teacher leader cohort, for example, or teacher mentors or something like that, where this could kind of like what Joy was saying, the teacher leader piece could be part of that role or how they're accomplishing it.
I wonder if I know in some of the smaller districts who don't have a social studies coordinator, they'll tap a teacher to be that person who gets the information from the state or goes out and, you know, if they have textbook adoption, that's what the person they'll tap.
Hey,
I
Holly.
wonder if
Hi there.
there's some kind
Hey,
of
I just wanted to touch base with you. You have just a second about Demaya Crow.
Okay, yes.
Okay, well, she is.
Yep. So I wonder if there's some kind of like, could districts provide a small stipend as like, you know, like a department chair, but not? Like if they could, you know, maybe when I know when I was department chair or when I had a club or if I coached a sport, there was a very small stipend. It was like, you know, depending on what it was, it might have been $35 or $50 a month. I wonder if we could ask districts if that's something they were willing to do to help support the program. I don't know. You guys really do know better than we do because you talk to them more than we do.
Cassie has a comment in the chat about the quarterly meetings that she had with her champions. I'm throwing you under the bus, Cassie, but that might be a good thing for her to share out what they did.
Yeah, so we just met quarterly and talked about updates. They had time to network. We did a little bit of PL. So like Joy did GIS with our group. In April, Nancy Blonde came in February, I think, virtually, and did a session on velocity with them. And then they just went back and shared that with their districts. So I don't think our districts will give a stipend to the teachers necessarily. We also at our RISA went ahead and did math and ELA quarterly meetings to follow along with the science and social studies, and there were no stipends given for that. And I, at our April meeting, our final quarterly meeting for the year, I just put in a survey to them, you know, would you be willing to continue this next year with or without a stipend? Because I told them that, you know, I didn't know that, you know, we hadn't heard whether or not, you know, you would continue to get funding. And so far, all of the ones that have responded have said that they were willing to do it with or without a stipend. So I think that they saw value in it because of the time to network and share and hear what other districts are doing to try to promote the teaching of social studies, especially in the elementary grades. because that's where it's such a scheduling issue. And I did share Jennifer's scheduling hacks presentation with them in April as well. So I think they see benefit in it regardless of a stipend.
And Cassie, are the districts providing the subs for those meetings?
Yes.
Oh, so they are.
They are.
Right. That
Yeah.
was kind of my thinking too. If people know ahead of time right now, right, and are thinking about planning for next year, and what can they go ahead and maybe think about how they're going to leverage their teachers next year in more synergistic ways, right? And build that in. I feel like we're kind of going into the brainstorming phase. Like we want to capture all the things that you guys are saying and kind of brainstorm some more and share these ideas. So we've kind of got the juices flowing, about thinking about, okay, so there's no money, but we are still going to be here to support you guys. We might not be able to travel as much or at all. I'm not sure. We'll see what the budget says, but
we should be able to do some travel.
Okay, right.
And I'm not telling April what our travel budget was before, because she has, the travel budgets of math and ELA in her mind. I just want to keep that there, like as if we all had the same budget as math and ELA. So when she tells us our lessened budget, I could be like, oh, that's so small. And she'll believe me.
So thinking about what we can do to keep the momentum going a little bit, right? We want to first take a second to think back about this past year, right? So what were the successes that your teachers had, and what were some challenges, right? So thinking about that, I'm going to give you a Padlet in just a second where I'd like you to kind of sort through those successes and challenges and think about, all right, here were some things that maybe I didn't do or that student or teachers weren't able to do this year, but we want to do right in the future, right? So we've had this program for 2 years. Next year is going to be the third. I mean, again, we're going to still keep supporting you. So what do we want to start doing that maybe we didn't have a chance to start doing in the first couple years? What's something that we want to continue doing? Something that we're already doing with Cheerleaders and Champions, that we want to keep that momentum going. And then the red light, what's something that maybe, it's not worth it. We've tried that. Or maybe some challenges that you could anticipate next year. So we're going to give you a few minutes just to kind of quietly reflect on these questions for you and your district champions, and to put your thoughts into the Padlet, which Jennifer just shared in the chat. The Padlet looks like this. And so what I'd like you to do is, under each light, yellow light, green light, red light, you just push the plus, and you can either put your RISA name in here if you want, or you can put your name, or you can just put nothing. And then you can write more text down below. And then you would push the publish. So if you'll take, few minutes, we'll give you maybe 5 minutes to reflect and add to the Padlet quietly. And then we'll take a second for you guys afterwards to read through everyone and respond. So I'll give you some directions for responding. But for right now, just take a second to get your thoughts down for yourself, okay? And let me know if you have any questions about how to add to it. All right, 5 minutes starts now. All right, if you're finishing up, take another minute to put in your thoughts. Once you're finished with your yellow light, red light, green light, I'd like you to take a second to read through others' responses and respond. And I'll show you how to do the respond if you don't know how to respond to 3 other colleagues with either an agreement, a clarification, or extension. So maybe you saw something that you liked or thought was a good idea. Maybe you saw something that you want to know more about, so want some clarification. Or maybe you saw something that you maybe you do or could add on to help someone else in their thinking. So I'd like you to go back to the Padlet, and let's say I wanted to comment on the first one. You could just go to the add comment and add a little comment. Looks like someone's already adding to it. So find 3 other colleagues to respond to. You could do it again, either with an agreement, a clarification, an extension. Those are just some examples. Of course, you can respond however you feel makes the most sense. So take a minute or so to respond to a colleague and give some feedback. Give you a couple minutes there. music's back.
The music is very loud.
Okay, one more minute. Right, guys, getting some good ideas here that we'll continue to dig through, and especially those who might not have been able to attend today, give them a chance to add to this as well. And we'll use this to help kind of drive what we do also next year. We'll continue the conversations. We want to get some more concrete ideas from you too. It looks like some of you are already kind of thinking to our next step a little bit. Jennifer's going to kind of help us with our next step. This was the Padlet, though, that we referenced at the beginning. I'll go back to that slide, maybe. So we had talked about the traffic light Padlet as being an option for your champions to fill out at the end of the contract period. So I can share this template with you too. So if you'd like to do this Padlet with your champions to get that feedback, we'd love to see it too. So if you do this, send it to us, but that's an option. And then we'll talk more about the success form, which we want to get from you and the champions as well. So a little whiplash as I go back through the slides to get to here.
I think we all agree we've seen such great momentum over the last 2 years from this program, with having communication shared from the DOE to your RESAs and then from your RESAs to your district. So we don't want to lose that momentum that we've gained over the last 2 years. So how can we help you achieve those goals for next year? So we want to talk a little bit about what you can do to help support the teachers that you serve in your districts. But then we also want to know from you, what can we as the DOE do to better support you. And as Ashley said, we've got that link down there on the bottom for you to fill out that form, and we'll send this to you in a follow-up email as well. You don't have to fill it out right this minute because it may be something that you want to take some time and really think on to see how we can better support you. But we would love to hear your ideas on what your thoughts are on supporting your teachers, and also what we can do to better support you as you reach those goals with them.
So that form, I'll just click on it so you can see. I put it in the chat just for those of you that like to see things and know it at the moment. Again, this is a form. Oh, did I not? Okay. This is a form that we'd love for you guys to fill out, but also it's made for your champions to be able to fill out as well. So we have, 2 questions in there, number 2 and 3, that are more district level kind of questions. We wanted it to be a fairly low stakes kind of anonymous thing. So the only thing we really ask is, what is your RESA? We don't ask what's your district and stuff like that. So again, we'll use the Padlets in the, which you can remake. I'll send you the link for that. But this is the form that both you and your champions can use.
Yeah, Ashley, can you scroll down just a little bit towards the bottom? So
Sure.
you see at the bottom, it selects your RESA. So what we can do as well is, after all of the information has come in from your champions, we can compile the information that's specific to your RESA and send it back to you. But as Ashley said, we really wanted it to be anonymous so that teachers or liaisons, leaders could really give honest feedback without fear of saying anything or hurting feelings, stepping on toes, whatever. But we can send your specific RESA information out to you, and then we would hope that you would even send that on to your district leaders so they can see those needs reflected as well.
Can I'd like to pause for a minute and acknowledge something in the green light, yellow light, red light Padlet. I do acknowledge that for, gosh, probably almost all of you, you're taking on a role in social studies that maybe previously your RESA didn't have. And so you are doing extra work, and I want to acknowledge that, and acknowledge that with your original scope of work, if you were involved in math and ELA, I understand the challenges that are coming up, and I want to know, I kind of want to know if your RESAs are going to let you continue supporting social studies with your time. And maybe what we can do, is there anything we could do to help with that?
Yeah. I think that definitely is stuff to put to here, like, how can we support you? Like, if you want to unmute now and talk about it, we're happy to hear now, but also know that's like things to also include in the form as well. So anyone want to talk about that now, or you're like not ready to think about next year?
The other thing, and I put this in the red light, I wonder if just be thinking about this too. I wonder if any of your district liaisons would be interested in a kind of a teacher internship. Somebody said something about job alike. So I've actually already emailed Felicia Purdy and April to see if there is a protocol for that, and not something where we would take them from their jobs, but something where we could, maybe they could meet with us during their planning periods once a week, and learn more about our role and our jobs at the DOE, and maybe work with us on some trainings, or work with us on lesson editing or something, something like that. If that's something that you think every reason we go to, every place we go to, teachers are like, how do you get your job? So this might be something where,
and
we might could do something.
And Cassie makes a good point too of, we still have our educational partners like GCE, for example, that can come and do regional or RESA level things that they might not be able to go to a school that only has, 2 or 3 social studies teachers, but if we have it at the RESA level. So we still have those partnerships as well. And we are working on that literacy piece too. You know, that background, that science of reading, now that it's coming up. Like, I don't know if any of you have done the Cox Campus webinars and courses. Like, I'm loving those, quite frankly, because I'm getting
Especially
so
because
much.
they use social studies examples.
Right, but it really is driving home. If you've done the background knowledge one and the vocabulary one for Cox Campus, and we can send that to you guys if you're not familiar with what we're talking about. But
Hey,
to me,
Ashley,
yeah,
can I interrupt? So I'm going through letters training right now. I'm about to wrap that up and go through facilitator training for volume 2. So I haven't been able to start the Cox Campus. My plan is
Yeah.
to start Cox Campus once I get letters under my belt. But in letters, you know, we discussed in volume 2, which is the upper half of Scarborough's road with the language comprehension.
right,
Vocabulary is 60%, impacts comprehension 60% of the time. And
yeah,
background knowledge is also so important. And content literacy is extremely important. And this is what I've tried to hit home with the champions. You know, when I did that scheduling hacks that Jennifer sent to me, if your kids don't have background knowledge in science and social studies, it's going to negatively impact their reading. And so they have to have that. So it's vitally important for the elementary schools to incorporate science and social studies. And I know that there are challenges. I get it. I've taught in an elementary school. I was a literacy coach in an elementary school. I get it. But you know, you can do a lot with like what Jennifer's scheduling hacks was a really good presentation. It talked about pulling in, you know, science and social studies types read alouds and text, and giving them that background knowledge through literacy instruction during ELA time, and then having time for specifically for science and social studies, but it might not be as much time, but you've hit that introduction to it through ELA. And then as they go into middle and high school, and you know, even in elementary school, they need to know how to read like mathematicians, and write like mathematicians, and scientists and historians. So all of that is so vitally important, and that's something that I preach to ELA people as well as social studies people. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but that's just what we've talked about a bunch.
Well, Cassie,
yeah,
we've also talked about, you know, K-5 we know is a problem with PL because teachers aren't being released for social studies PL. So we've also talked about kind of joining forces with science. So maybe if we did a K-5 day where they did science in the morning, social studies in the afternoon, and then they flipped, they could get both contents in and then make those science and social studies connections to literacy. We might could get more teachers actually into the room if we made a connection, and then they could get to kind of spotlight both contents. So we could do a K-5 science in the morning while we were doing 3-5 social studies, and then flip it. And then they would do the K2 science while we did the 3-5 social studies. I may have said it backwards, but you know what I mean? So trying to figure out ways we
That's
can
a great
actually
idea.
get teachers out of the building and into those PL sessions, because we know it's invaluable, but we got to get them there. So we're trying to see what kind of connections we can make so teachers will actually be released.
Yeah, that would be great. That's a great idea. Thank you, Jennifer.
okay. Anything else? Like, that literacy piece, we understand is a big deal for everyone, and that background knowledge, like, those need to be developed simultaneously. So we're here to help and support you in those pieces. So if you have specific ideas there too, again, feel free to add them to the form as you're filling it out. The more detailed you can be, the more specific, the better. You can always send us an email too. But this form, again, you don't have to fill it out right now. You can take some time to do that. We'd love for the champions to fill that out as well. Okay. And of course, we're not going away. We're still here. So we're going to talk about the resources, hopefully, that you guys kind of highlighted, and what we're going to keep adding to. Jen?
These are just a few of the resources that will kind of get you connected to all of the resources. Several of you mentioned in the Padlet that you enjoy this weekly update that comes out. We're so glad that that's helpful. And that's something that we could even consider when Ashley and I work on it. It's in an actual Word document. So if that's something that's helpful, we could always send you the Word document. You could take out what's not relevant to your districts, add in what is relevant to your districts. Then you already have a start on a newsletter. So you're not kind of reinventing the wheel on the whole thing. Those come out every week. And then there's always a green section for cheerleaders and champions that's specific to all of you. So we'll maybe change that to RESA supports or something, but it'll still be there. You'll still be included. That comes out in an email, but we know sometimes it's kind of wonky to different emails. We don't understand why. It looks fine in ours. And then 1 week it's fine, 1 week it's wonky. We don't really know. So those are always saved in the leader community on in Godot community and also in the cheerleader community as well. And the link is there on the screen when you get a copy of the PDF. The resource repository in Georgia Inspire, if you have not visited that, Godot.org and GeorgiaStandards.org, they're going away quickly. So everything is being shifted over to Inspire, and all of those things that you would previously find on Godot.org or in GeorgiaStandards.org are all being moved. Hold on 1 second, Ashley. All right, I just want to go slow so they see where we are. That middle section that looks like the graphic organizer kind of turned to the side, that's where you find the resource repository. Okay, now show us, Ashley. Sorry, I wanted to make sure
Yeah,
they saw
no
what you were
problem.
clicking on. But
Yeah, so
everything that would previously have been there shifted over.
So that link that's in the PowerPoint takes you, I think, to the home. But as Jennifer
correct.
said, that third tab is the resource repository tab. And there's more, obviously, than just social studies there. But that green repository is kind of like the high level place where there's, like she said, all sorts of stuff on, rules and guidance and civic engagement seals and so on. So the stuff that was on kind of georgiastandards.org
This came
is
from gadoe.org.
okay, the DOE.
This was primarily what's on our program page on gadoe.org that relates to higher level leadership things.
Yeah. If you can't find it, chances are it's here. And if you still can't find it, shoot us an email and we'll help you get to the right place. But this is going to be a great place for resources. And luckily, Ashley's mind works in categories, which is so helpful. So all of this stuff that was in long text all the way down the screen, Ashley's like, it would be helpful to make folders. So Ashley's gone in and made really organized folders to kind of help house all that information. But you can see the tabs where she is. Everything's broken down into here's PL, here's Inspire and Velocity, here's all the instructional activity videos. So everything is lined up in there for you to go back to if you need it. There's great support. Ashley, can you go back for 1 second to Inspire and Velocity support? We get a lot of requests for support with Inspire and Velocity. You can see there that first link, that Inspire and Velocity playlist, that has all of the videos that either Nancy created or that Virtual Specialist created. We've shifted them all there into that Inspire and Velocity playlist. That's going to be super, super helpful to share in your sessions or to share out with your liaisons. There's one that that Nancy did, that fourth one down that says Georgia Department of Ed, how to create velocity activities. Super, super helpful. I literally kept it up on one screen and played it and then paused and would create the velocity activity and go back and forth. But it's super helpful. There's another one on there where Nancy's just kind of talking about Inspire and Velocity and what all it can do, kind of test driving it. So those are super helpful. And then back under that original tab, there's also a scavenger hunt for how to navigate Inspire and Velocity and also how to navigate GIS. And those are super helpful if you're working with teachers or leaders and they're like, I don't get it, or I don't know how to navigate through everything. Those are both super helpful resources to share with your teachers and your leaders for information.
Any questions about the repository?
I want to hop back for just a minute to the leader updates. We're adding a new section to the leader updates that is tips on or spotlights on DOE policy rules and guidance, because I think that it would be better if we all knew some of these things existed. So this week, is this the one we're sending out this week?
Yeah, it went out
Yeah, it was
yesterday.
already sent.
So this week's highlight is the board rule on U.S. history and Georgia studies that talks about Georgia studies must be offered in grade 8. And I know a lot of middle schools out there are wanting to offer high school courses for social studies in middle school, but I'm not sure that they realize that they also have to offer. You can't push Georgia studies down to 7th grade. And they have to take it in 8th grade and the milestone in 8th grade. So they could offer like an elective course, like world geography or something, as an elective course in specials. But so we're adding that. It won't be every week. It'll be like every other week. But just trying to build a body of knowledge for us all when we are answering questions and talking with teachers.
And if there's something that you have questions about or something you'd like to see us have added to the weekly updates, we welcome suggestions, comments. It's supposed to be a tool that is helpful and supportive. So if there's something that you're like, I wish they really would include, whatever, please let us know. We're happy to tie that in. And then lastly, that last bullet is talking about future RESA roundtables. We don't want our support to stop with you here. So what can we do to help with future RESA roundtables? If you want to think with us about what would that look like? Do you want them to be more quarterly? Do you want them to be bi-monthly? What works out well for your schedules, and what do you think is going to be the most beneficial? One of the things that we love, we always have our leader updates, but one of the things we love specifically about these RESA ones is that you're able to share and network, kind of like some of you mentioned, with one another, and share some of the things that you're doing. We know we're better, stronger. So what can we do to help support you, and how often would you like to see those kind of roundtable meetings, similar to what we did today?
All right, we good there? Yep. All right. One of our last ask too, since one of the big points of the Cheerleaders and Champions initiative was to facilitate communication among all the different social studies levels. We'd love for you guys to complete this spreadsheet with information for the districts that are in your RESA. We are going to send this in the follow-up email. But when you get it, if you will just click on your tab down at the bottom, and if you will just put in the names of the people that you guys have as contacts for social studies related issues at the district level, that would be super helpful for us to, again, continue facilitating communication between all of us in the districts. Yeah. You want to say something else?
Well, yeah, I just remembered the picture Jennifer sent the other day of her garage. So we do, talking about PL for next year. Jennifer and Nancy do a session on maps called what's the title, Jennifer?
Where in the world are we? And then it has a subtitle, but I don't remember what that is. Something about using maps.
So that's infused with literacy, and there's some little map pieces in there, and it's K5. But keep in mind that this session, we give the teachers from the school a K5 full set of maps to use and take back with them. So I know we didn't get to all of the RESAs that were interested last year based on when we got the maps and how full your schedule already was. So we have a limited number of maps in Jennifer's garage still. So if that's something that your RESA is interested in offering, we ask that the school send 2 teachers because we would like them to take the maps back and share the strategies with all the teachers and have them share the maps with each other. But you can get with Jennifer on that if it's something. And the maps, of course, the PL and the maps are all free. So, and I think, Jennifer, there's some literacy language in that description as well. So perhaps that will make it easier to get elementary teachers out of the building. But just reach out to Jennifer if that's something you're interested in.
Okay, so I put the spreadsheet in the chat. Hopefully you can access that. Please let me know if you're having issues accessing the spreadsheet. We can get that figured out before we get off if you want, or we can do it another time. Just let me know. And
we had
we'll
another
close.
activity planned, but I want to respect your time. I know you guys are doing, yeah, that's Jennifer's front door. I know you guys are doing a million jobs and we appreciate your time and we want to be respectful. So we can save yes and for our next roundtable.
Ooh. Keep us in suspense.
Any,
Yes.
Jennifer, I think you could take off the recording now.
So Lisa, it's the district level person. You're right. So for